Good morning, everyone. Online students, I'm audible and you could see my screen. Yes. Okay. So where are we, guys? I think we are exploring much on the JSON object. We have seen multiple examples like how do we group the relative information instead of going with the scattered variables? How can we group them using your JSON object? Isn't it? How do we insert the dynamic data into your JSON? How do we retrieve the data? What is the internal memory structure? What is the array way of accessing the JSON data? Those are all things we are looking. And yesterday we are even looking into the looping control structure also, iterating over a JSON. Doesn't matter how much big the JSON object is, we could able to iterate over the JSON object. Okay, that is what we have seen. So hope everybody is so clear on this. Explain foreign again. Okay, it's very simple. What actually we have is we simply say for anytime we say where some data is equal to an object with key 1 colon some value, some key 2 colon some value like this. So anytime we want to iterate over this, what we do is we have to create one temporary key here where some temp key in what is the object? The object name is data, something like this. So now what the set of instructions, whatever the set of instructions you give over here. So what this for loop will do, it will create a temporary variable for this object. The first time it will take this key 1, put into this temp, it will execute all this instruction. Second time when I come to the for loop, I automatically go to the second key. I will be reaching each and every key inside the JSON object. I'll be executing all the set of instructions, whatever you have given inside the for loop there. Isn't it? So this is what happens in case of your foreign. Every time it is going to get the value or it is going to return only the key for us. It only returns the key. But once we have the key, we should be able to find out the value also, right? So that is how we are iterating over the JSON and we could able to get the keys along with the value. Any questions? Can you repeat iterating syntax? Why we use temporary? Why not like normal for loop? Kushal, that is what I said, right? In case of your normal for loop, what is the problem? It is not normal for loop. It is foreign looping control structure. Okay, what is the difference between the normal for loop and this for loop? And why we use that normal for loop? In order to go with the arrays. If it is arrays, what we are doing, we have the concept of indexing. We know that it is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is the reason I say I equal to 0, I less than and I plus plus. But that is the same case with this guy? No, I have the number of keys. Okay, so now in order to iterate over the keys, we are using this where temp key in your data. And this temp key is one of the temporary variable. It is the job of the JavaScript guy to go to each and every key inside the JSON object, and it will get the value for the particular keys there. Okay, first time I will go for the first key, second time I go with the second key, third key, fourth key, something like that. It will go to each and every keys there. Okay. Hope I'm clear, Rahul and Kushal. Okay. Now we are about to discuss like what is the complexity of the JSON. Now we are so clear. Any data I give it to you, I won't give the structure, but you are capable of creating in the form of a JSON object. Now, as I said, you say, for example, where data is equal to a JSON object, I say something called as some key I'm giving value. What could be the data type of the value? It could be a string. It could be a number, it could be null, it could be undefined, it could be function, it could be object, it could be array, any data type what JavaScript is supporting, Boolean. So any data type, whatever JavaScript is supporting, we can assign a string to a key, we can assign a number to the key, we can assign null to the key, undefined to the key, function to the key, object to the key, array to the key, or Boolean to the key. So whatever the data types, what JavaScript is supporting, all this data, all type of data can be assigned to the key of the particular JSON object. Are we clear? Okay. Now let us say, for example, I'm going to create a JSON object for the contact details. Okay, I want to take some contact details. I want to store all the contact details within the JSON object. So how can I go for that? First of all, let us list out the data what you want to go for. I say some contact details. Assume like it is in your phone, and I want to store all the details inside this. So what all you will be having? Under contact details, do I have F name? first name. Is it is one value or multiple values? One value. Now I say something called as last name. Yes. Okay. What else you'll be having? You'll be having something called as mobile number. And once you come to the mobile number, I may have some office number and I have something called as personal number. When I come to the office number, you might be having one value. When I go with personal number, you may have some multiple values, right? Okay. Now I may go with something called as mail ID. Now again, when I come to the mail ID, I may have some office mail ID and I may have some personal mail ID. When I come to personal, it might be multiple. Next, what all I can store? Telephone, mobile, it is fine. Both are same. Next, languages. No need of address. I can go with, right? Now I say address. Under address, I may go with something called as office address. Under the office address, I may go with something called office. I say something called as building number. I may say something called as state name. I may go with something called country name. Okay, I may go with something called as personal. Once I go with personal number, you may go with door number. You may go with something called as state info. Under the state info, I want to store that what is the state code. What is the state code? At the same time, what is the state code? At the same time, I say state name, isn't it? At the same time, I go with something called as country details, where I go with country name and I want to go with country code also. Anything else? I have the name, mobile, address. What else I can store? Number, save in SIM or mail ID. That is fine. Next. Passport number. And when you ask my contact number, you also ask my passport. I mean, you can take it much something better. I can go with the date of birth. I know that we don't even ask date of birth, but at the same, I want to store the complexity of this data. So I'll go with some month. I'll go with some year. People don't share year. Okay. Next. Gender is a single value. Come on, it's not resume. Experience. Work experience. I said contact details, not resume. Group, yeah, I can go with. It's like what is the group, which group they belongs to, personal, friends, etc. and all. Next, can I go with something called a social ID? Okay, I go with something called as LinkedIn ID. I say Twitter ID, FB ID, etc. Next. Picture, single value. Next. Salary details. In your phone, you save your friend's salary also. Nickname, that's a single value. Next. First name, last name will be fine. Next. What all the complex data I can store here? Department. Okay. Next. Bank details. So when you ask my phone number, shall I give my bank number, OTP, etc. Next. Come on. Marital status, very important, right? Based on that, we'll see whether we'll call it or not. Then in that case, gender is also very important, right? Then these all are single values, right? Can you tell me anything which has complex structure? Type of memory stored, that's also single value. Either it's in SIM card or memory card. Next. Education, it's also a single value. Next. Only address is the one which I got as complex. Relationship. Okay. Hobbies, family member, blood group. Wow. These all are single values. I'll do one thing. I'll go with this. I think this is will be enough. If there is any complexity needed, we'll go for that. Okay. For example, okay, this is the left side. You have the JSON. Assume like your client guy has given this. I say obj structure.txt. Okay, now the right side guy, I want to create a JSON object. Okay, now how you're going to create the JSON object out of this? Now I say where. So understand the structure, guys. If you understand this, you can make use of any of the JSON object. Okay, I say where contact details is equal to a JSON object. So what is the very first thing I need to store? F name. What will be the value for the F name? What type of data type F name will be storing? String. Now I say F name colon, say something called as Mr. Raj. Okay, I say L name, I say something called as Rao. Okay, next. Now I have something called as mobile number. You tell me what should be the data type of mobile number. Number. Why so? Why it is not directly number? If I store a number directly, then it is fine. But under this mobile, do I need to store the office and personal info here? No, if at all I need to store this office and personal info, do I need to go with another JSON object over here? Everyone understanding? So under this, now again, I need to say something called as office. Under this, I'm going to have some one individual number. I say 040, some number like this. Okay. Now, when I say something called as personal, okay, under personal, how many values I may have? Multiple values. When I want to store multiple values here, what data structure I can go? Array I can go, array of say some values, array of say some another value like this. You can have any number of values. Are we clear? Everyone? Okay. Next, when I come to mobile number is done. Now, when I say mail ID, what should be the data structure of mail ID? Everyone, string or JSON object? JSON object, because under mail ID, I need to store another key called as office, another key called as personal, isn't it? Now I need to say another JSON object. I say something called as office, say some office@office.com. Okay. In the same way, when I say personal, I need to take array of multiple email IDs. I say raj@gmail.com. I say rao@gmail.com. Are we clear? Okay, next, after the mail ID, what should I go for? I say something called as address. You tell me what is the data type of this address. Everyone agree, right? So based on the structure, you should be able to say. Now under the address, I say something called as office. You tell me what is the data structure of this office. Again, inside that you need to go with another JSON object. Yes. Under that, now I say building number, say something called as 5A. There is something called as state, say something called as TS. I say country name, which is going to be something called as India. Okay. Now I go with something called personal. Now, when I go with personal, data type of personal should be object again. Now I say door number. Data type of door number should be string. I may say A-123-B. Okay. Next, I say state info. What is the data type of state info? Everybody understanding, right? It's again a JSON object. Now I go with the state info. Under that, I say code. The state code is TS. The name is spelling is right. This is fine, right? Okay. Now I say this guy. Next. Again, I go with something called as country details. It's again a JSON object. I go for the name. I say India. I say code, something called as IND. Okay. So if you see here, how come I'm deciding that whether it is JSON object, whether it is array, whether it is string, based on the data what you're storing, based on the structure what you have, you will be deciding what type of data structure you need to go with. Okay. And on the top, this is say date of birth. Now, what will be the data type date of birth here? Date of birth. What should be the data structure of this date of birth? I need to go with a JSON object. Say something called as month. Assume like it is Jan. I say day, something called as 10. Okay. In the same way, I say group. Say something called as personal. Okay. Social ID. So what should be the social ID here? Again, a JSON object. I say LinkedIn. Say some ABC. I say FB, say something called as test like this. Now you can add the remaining. Now I go with the pick, it will be a single value, department single value, marital status single value, gender is a single value. This is how you are going to create the JSON object for the structures, guys. Okay, this is a complex JSON object. Now, if I ask you, can you tell me what is the first name from this contact details? How I am going to retrieve the first name? Everyone, contact details dot f name is the one what I have. If at all I have to retrieve the last name, what should I go with? Contact details what? Last name. My expectation is I want to retrieve the office number from this. What should I go for? Contact details dot mobile number dot office. Am I clear? So whenever you have sub keys here, parent object dot sub key like this, we need to go with child, something like this. What if I want to get the second personal phone number? Contact details dot personal mobile number, first of all, mobile number dot personal of 1, array of 1, right? In the same way, for example, I want to find out the country name from the office address. Come on, contact details dot address dot office dot country name. Are we clear? Now, if at all I have to retrieve this country code from your personal, contact details dot address dot personal dot country details dot code. Are we clear, guys? Okay, so this is how you need to identify each and every keys from your JSON object. Are we clear? Okay. Any questions, online students? Everyone so clear? Okay. Write a program. Write a program. to define a function, which is capable of reading, a object, comma, iterate over it, comma, returns every key and corresponding value of it. So understood what I asked for? So for now, I will okay. Say for example, I have a simple requirement where data is equal to JSON object, name Mr. Raj, age say some 20, gender male. This is the object what I have. Everyone, I want to iterate over this. What is the piece of code I have given? I want to iterate over this JSON object and I want to read each and key value of this. Can we able to do this? We have already done this for in looping control structure. What is the simple thing I'll say? I'll say for where come on, temp key in data, I say console.log temp key plus data.temp key, right? Now when I save it, come back, open in the browser. When I inspect these guys, go to console. What is this? Why it is undefined, boss? It should be data dot or data off. Data off. Everybody know when I say data dot temp key, what it will do? It will feel like temp key is one of the key here, but that is not the case. So I need to keep this guy inside the square brace, reload the page. This is how it is coming. Are we clear up to this? Okay. Now I give one of the case here. Now for this, what I'll do is I will write a function, iterate over object. Okay, it takes some data and it is going to do this. I want to do this guy through the functions. Now from outside, I simply say iterate over object, which is data. I'm calling this guy, come back. This is what it is happening. Clear, everyone? What if I'm going to add a value is fee paid equal to something called as true. Come back, it will iterate that is fee paid also. Okay. Now I say something called as address. Okay, I'll say JSON object. I say door number equal to so and so. Save this guy and reload. What is happening? When I'm coming to the address, you see, whenever I say foreign looping control structure, first time I go to name, second time I go to age, third time I go to gender, fourth time I go to is fee paid. Next, I'll go for something called as address. Now, but under address is not a normal data, boss. Address is again another object. Now, I want you guys to write some piece of code. Doesn't matter how much hierarchy I have. You may have 10 children. You need to go to each and every children and you need to give me the data. Okay. You see, for example, I take this contact details. If I pass the contact details for this function, now if you come back here, reload, first name I'm getting, last name I'm getting, and I'm getting the mobile number, etc. and all. But when I come to the mobile number, is it a direct value? No, boss, it's coming like an object. I don't want that. You have to go to the mobile number, find out what is that value is. Okay, how do we find that guy? So for this, let us put the logic. Now what I need to do, instead of contact details, let us say I'm going to pass data only. Come back and reload the page. This is how it is. Now, how do I get to know that I need to go inside this guy? How do I get to know that? For address, is fee paid? I should not go inside. But for address, I need to go inside. So for this, let us say console.log. What is the method we have which will help us in returning what type of data one variable is holding? Type of method, I can simply say type of data of temp key. I want to see what type of data we have. When I reload this guy, this is a string, this is a number, this is a string, this is a boolean. When it comes to object, is it not telling it is an object? Now can I put a simple logic? If it is an object, go inside, boss. Okay. Now what I'll say here, I will say for, okay, if at all the type of this data is equal to object. Now, do I need to add another foreign looping control structure? Yes or no? Because this is another JSON object, right? I say something called as state, say something called as TS. I say something called as country, which is India. Do I need to do this? Now, if it is object, again, I need to iterate over this guy. Again, I need to run a foreign looping control structure, go for door number, go for state, go for country like this. Now, I simply say for where I say temp key or temp in. What is the JSON object now? This is the JSON object. Okay. Now what I need to say, I will say console.log temp plus hyphen plus of data of temp key of temp. Now when I save this guy, come back and reload the page. Line number 70, you have an issue. What was that? This guy has to be braced closer, right? Reload this guy. You see, name is coming, number is coming, string is coming. When this guy is an object, I'm going inside the door number, I'm going to the state, and I'm going to the country also. Are we clear? Let me know if you have a question on this, guys. You might be so clear with the first iteration, yes or no. Everyone, no questions. First iteration, I'm going to this guy, first guy, second guy, third guy, fourth guy. But when I'm coming to these type of things, what I need to do, I need to check that whether it is a object or a string. Because if it is an object, I need to go inside that guy. So that is what I'm doing. If it is an object, I'm checking the condition here. I'm putting the condition that, boss, if it is an object, you know, if it is an object, you should not even do this guy. If it is not object, then only you need to do this. See this guy unnecessarily. Do you see this guy? This object is coming. Why do I want this? Now, if I reload this guy, see, when it is not object, then only I will show the data. When it is object, I don't show the data. Okay. Okay. Now, what I'm doing, if it is an object, I'm running another foreign looping control structure here. Okay. Are we clear now? Write a program. Okay. In for loop, where is condition and increment or decrement? Come on, Biswijit. Again, you're back to the starting. Is it a for loop control structure or it's a foreign looping control structure? I'm not iterating over the array. If it is an array, we go with the for loop control structure where we have the initialization, condition, and incrementation and all. But here we are using for in looping control structure without any incrementation, initialization, etc. and all. Any more questions on this piece of code, guys? Is everyone good? Sir, address is not showing. It is showing, right? Okay, obviously address won't be showing because address value is a JSON object. I'm going inside this. Now I'm coming in. If you want to show the address part, then you know what I have to do? I have to put this temp guy outside of this. Okay, I don't wanted this address because I want to see each and individual values. That's it. Or else if you say that, boss, I want to see that address also. In that case, you know what I have to do? If it is an object, you will have to say console.log this temp key. You need to show this. See, reload the page. Now I say address. What is address? These all the things are address. Okay. So we should use while till it's not object, till we get all data. That is what my next question is, Shloka. That's a good observation. That is what my next thing. Boss, here I say that it is address one single object. What if I say country details? Okay, I say what is my country name? I say India. I say the code, which is IND. Now, if you save it, come back and reload the page. Again, the problem has come, boss. For country details, again, JSON object is coming. Now, again, what is my solution? Again, over here, I need to put the condition that if it is JSON object or not. Isn't it? Now, the same problem you will get it. If I pass the contact details for this JSON object, save this guy and reload the page. See, not every time office has come, personal ID has come. But again, when I come into the office address, again, it is coming like JSON object. I don't want it, boss. Now, do you think I'll be keep on adding the foreign looping contour structure? What if there are 100 hierarchies here? Do you think every time for foreign you have to do? No. This is where you have a solution, something called as recursive function. Using recursive, we could able to solve it. I will show you what it is, but have you understood the problem? Okay, for now, let me solve this guy only with this structure. Only for the data, I'll try to do this. Are we good up to this? Now, when you see here, when I reload this page, it is country details are not coming here. Now, what I need to do, boss? Now, what I'll do is I will comment out this part. This is one solution. Or else this solution is working good when it is 2 level of hierarchy. Okay. Or else if at all you want to put the hierarchy over here, even this guy also, if it is not working, see, country details is not working. Now, again, what I have to do? Again, I have to put another condition here. Okay. Now, again, I need to say that if at all the type of, what is this type of data of temp is equal to object. Now, again, I need to say console.log this temp, and I have to say console dot, oh, and not console, I need to run the for loop now. I have to say for loop. Oh man, where sample key in what? In data.temp of temp. Now I have to say console.log sam key plus data of temp of sam key. This guy will be plus. Now when I save this guy, reload this page. Now you see country details are also coming. Okay. But how many loopings you will be keep on writing, boss? How many n number of loopings you will be writing? That is not a valid way of writing the piece of code. Now what I do is I'm commenting out this guy. Okay. What I will do is I will take this function. Okay. First thing, foreign looping contour structure I need to do. You see here, what I will do is console.log temp. Okay. I say this guy. What I'm doing first time, temp key in the object, whatever you pass, I'm doing this. I'm checking if it is not an object, can I simply call the same method again by passing the new object to this guy? This is what we call it as recursive function. So what do you mean by recursive function? A function which is getting invoked within the body of the same function. You see, in general, we invoke this function outside of the function. But if we are invoking the function within the body of the same function, that we call it as a recursive function. Now, if you see no multiple loopings, come back here and reload the page. Unexpected end at line number 99. What was that? 99? I think I missed one of the braces. Okay, save this guy, reload the page. Could I able to find each and every value, boss? Okay, and string and all, I don't want to do this type of data type. Remove this, reload this page. Name is Raj, age is so-and-so. And not only this data, boss, let us take our complex data here. I give this complex contact details. Am I getting each and every value out of it? Yes, it is. Okay, so this is what a recursive function. You can't keep on adding multiple iterations within the same function. You simply say one function. What I'm doing, I mean, assume that this is a function. You give me any object, I will go to each and every key value pair. Okay, you give me any object, I'll go to each and every key value. Now what I'm saying, I'm checking if it is an object, call the same guy by passing new object to that guy. That's it. So instead of writing this function, you can solve this by using your recursive function like this. Are we clear? I know that on the first attempt you might not understand, but let me know if you have any questions. Obviously, you have to. Everyone is so good. Can you please explain again recursive? Okay, nothing, Pranation. If you clearly see, forget about this guy. Okay, this is a very simple code what I have written. If it is not an object, first level of key values are coming. See, when I reload this gauge, first level, F name, last name, group name. These all are the one who is having single values. I got it. Are we clear up to this? A function, whatever the JSON object you give it to this guy, he is going to each and every key. He is checking if it's an object, you don't do anything. If it is not an object, you are trying to get the value. Pranachan, are you clear up to this? Everyone? Okay, now I'm going to put this guy. When it is an object, for example, the data what you're looking at is an object. Do I need to again run the foreign looping control structure? In order to do that guy, I already have this method. Same method you call this. For this, you give that guy who is coming as an object. I'm passing this guy to this guy. Now, if you save it, come back and reload. Done. Am I clear, Pranachan, now? Okay, see the coding as individual modules. Don't go into the complete coding at a time. If you see individual modules, simple to implement it. Are we clear? Can we go forward? Okay, this is again a good interview question, guys. They'll ask you, I'll give you any of the JSON object. You have to iterate over it and you give me. Now the coding, what we have written, this function doesn't matter what is the structure. You give it to me, I will just iterate and I'll throw the values individually. Okay, next. So what's the next topic, guys? This keyword. But before going with this keyword, I need to talk two methods. One is set timeout and set interval. Okay, let me talk about these two. Then I will come to this keyword. And guys, one more thing. Are you expecting a holiday on Saturday? No, it is Ramjan, right? It is Ramjan, right? So you don't need to fight. I'll give it. Okay. We'll see, guys. I mean, I'm okay, but as per the festival, it is there. We'll see if it is Ramjan. We'll take a holiday on Saturday. Okay. Or else, do you want, sorry? So then Saturday, we don't have anything. We have, okay, Eid is on Saturday. Okay, Ramzan is on other day. Yeah, that is running. Okay, the last day we call it as Eid. Then what is this Saturday? Eid. You celebrate it? Then you need to give party for us. We'll celebrate all. Okay, so we'll see, guys. I mean, mostly if everyone is okay, then we'll go. Not everyone is okay. We have to give it. If it is festival, we need to celebrate. On Saturday, we'll take a leave, guys. Okay, on the occasion of Eid. And when is Ramzan? We have a date. Okay, 22nd is Eid. Okay. I don't know this language. Oh, it's in English also. Nice. Nice. So Friday 21st started on March. Nice. I generally don't know this Eid. I only see that when Salwan movie releases, then it is Eid. 1 month. Okay. So let us go into this set timeout and set interval, guys. Let us say. So it is one of the very simple topic in your JavaScript. There are two predefined methods, which is set timeout and set interval. Okay, I say console.log. Welcome to page. I say console.log. Okay, save this guy. When I come back here, when I go with this browser, when I inspect this, go for console, we see that welcome to the page. Thanks for using the page. And it is end of this. Clear? Simple and straightforward. Yes, right? Okay. Now, when I save this, now my requirement is when the user is visiting my web page, anyone who comes to my web page, obviously he will be getting a welcome page message. At the same time, thanks for using the web page. At the same time, ending of this application. My requirement is I want to show the thanks message for the user only if the user is spending some time on the web page. Okay. Now I don't want to execute. Right now, what is happening? Your JavaScript is getting executed from top to bottom. It will go to line number 12. It will go to line number 16. It will go to line number 18. I mean, one by one, things are getting executed. But my requirement is you will execute line number 13. When I come to line number 16, don't execute it immediately. Wait for some time. Okay. When I come to line number 16, don't execute that guy immediately. Wait for some time. Anytime in your JavaScript, if you have a requirement which says that you need to execute the set of instructions based on that time. Okay, it may be after 2 seconds, it may be after 20 minutes, it may be after 1 hour, 2 hours, 1 day. Anytime you want to execute the instructions based on the time, the only two methods what we have is timeout and interval methods. Okay, set timeout and set interval are the predefined methods using which we can execute the piece of code based on a given time. Okay, so how it is, let's have a look on this. Now I say something called set timeout, a predefined method, something like this. Okay, set a timeout is one of the predefined method. What it will do, it will take two parameters. One is, for example, I will create a function show welcome block. Okay, I'm writing a piece of method, and whatever this welcome piece of code is there, I'm taking this guy and I'm keeping inside this. Okay, now what I do for the set timeout, you need to specify two things. One is you tell me what is the method which need to be invoked, comma, what is the total number of milliseconds. You can only give the time in milliseconds. If you want to give some 1 day, convert that 1 day 24 hours into milliseconds and give it. You want to give in hours, convert that hours into milliseconds and give it. So anytime you need to give, you have to give in milliseconds. Now I say something called a 5000 milliseconds, which is equal to 5 seconds. Now when I save this guy, when I come back to the page and I reload the page, you see here, do you see the thanks message immediately? No, boss. That piece of code will be only executed after 5 seconds of time. Okay, anytime you want to execute any set of instruction, right now I'm saying like thanks here, but anything you want to do, you can just simply put in that piece of code. Are we clear? So these methods are called as callback methods. What do you mean by callback method? Are we invoking this method? If we invoke this, we simply say open and close the braces. So here I'm not invoking this. That method is getting invoked automatically based on some piece of task. What is the task? After some piece of time. So anytime you are not manually invoking, if the system is automatically invoking one piece of method based on some particular time or task or etc., that methods are called as callback methods, not invoked by me, but invoked automatically. Clear? Now, the another question what I have is, if you clearly see, okay, set timeout, you are saying you are giving one of the function, and you see this function, are you calling anywhere in your piece of code? Nowhere else. Nowhere else I'm going to call this guy. Now, if nowhere else is being called, you can define this function over here itself. How it is? Let us see this. Instead of doing this, I say set timeout. Okay, this is the function. First parameter is the function. You know what I can say? I can simply say function definition over here, and what is the delay time. Okay, inside this, you can copy this code and you can add it over here itself. The advantage is you are not wasting the memory by giving a method name, because if no one else is using that function, only one time it has been called, and it is been called only within the set timeout method. Why the reason you need to redefine this, boss? You can simply define this. I mean, you can simply define this within this function. So this itself is called as anonymous function. Do I have any name for this function? No, we already know that any array which is not having any name, anonymous array. Any function which is not having any name is called as anonymous function. So this is a anonymous callback function. Why it is called as callback function? I'm not invoking that here. I'm simply giving the body. Who is invoking it? Set timeout guy is invoking. When it is getting invoked? After the given time. That is why it is called as callback functions. Clear? Everyone? Okay. So now instead of this, you don't even need to do this guy. You can simply define the function over here itself. So whatever the time you give 15, you give 20, any data, whatever you want to give, that has to be done after the given milliseconds of time only. The method will be coming into the picture, and that will be invoking this. So anywhere you want to work with the time, you just need to depend only on the is 15,000 is 15 seconds. Yeah. See here, after 15 seconds, I can see the piece of code is getting executed. Clear, everyone? Yes, please. This code is working in asynchronous way. Obviously, it is asynchronous, right? Yeah, what he is saying is, boss, okay, when it is coming to line number 13, it is executing. When it is coming to line number 17, I asked you to wait for 15. Am I still waiting, or am I executing the line number 24? Line number 24. You see here, okay, I know that one piece of task I need to wait. Controller will never wait. JavaScript is asynchronous piece of code, guys. Asynchronous in the sense I never wait for the job. Okay, one job is there. I'm still waiting. You wait. I'll go and keep executing the remaining set of instructions. That is what we call it as asynchronous statements. If you want to make it as synchronous, that is where we have a concept of async and await in your JavaScript. Using your async and await, you can say that, okay, wait until you get a response. Later, you execute the remaining statement. So this is asynchronous. Event loop is something called whenever you have n number of events which is getting fired on the same element, what all the events one by one it is happening. That is what we call it as event loop, which we see in your DHTML coding. Okay. Any more questions, guys? JavaScript also supports promises, obviously. JavaScript supports promises concept. It supports async and await concepts. These all things supported. When we come to the ECMASIX, we are going to have a look on this. Okay. So Prince, you say that JavaScript is synchronous. As you could see the example itself, it is asynchronous. It is not synchronous by default, but you can make it synchronous when needed based on adding some piece of code for that. Are we good on the set timeout method? Everyone? Okay. Now the another method what I have is instead of set timeout, I will say set interval. Okay, same piece of syntax. Okay, I'm saying set interval. Thanks for using the web page. And this is, say, for example, 3000, which is 3 seconds. Instead of using set timeout, I'm using set interval. Let us save this, come back and reload the page. You see here, I'm executing the old one. Okay, when I come to the console, okay, is it not working as like the set timeout? Yes. Now, what is the difference? Okay, instead of this, let me add multiple lines. I can say some count equal to 0. Just anything you can add it, but I'm putting some count here. That's it. Where count equal to 0. And I say count plus, and I say console.log count. Save this and reload. See here, first time it says one time it got thanks for so and so. Second time, third time, fourth time, it will be keep on repeating. Now you got the difference between the timeout method and interval method. What is the difference? Timeout will be executing the piece of code after the given time only once, whereas interval will be executing the piece of code, keep on repeatedly executing the piece of code within the given interval of time. That is the simple difference between the timeout and interval method. Set timeout will be keep on repeating. If there is no stop, it will be keep on repeating this guy. Now, if at all you want to stop it, there is an option for that. But before that, are you clear with the difference between timeout and interval? Everyone? Okay. Now I say that what is the way you need to clear this guy? There is a method, something called as clear interval. Clear interval is the piece of method using which you can clear one of the interval guy. So how it is? You see here, I will say where my interval equal to set interval. Now, when I say clear interval method, you can simply pass my interval to this guy. Clear interval is predefined method. Set interval is predefined method. This is my user defined variable. Okay. And I say my interval, you clear it out. See what is happening. I come back and reload this guy. You see, for the first time, it is happening. It has come to the clear interval. Now it is stopping. See, is it happening now? No. For example, I want to write a logic. Boss, for 5 times you need to get executed, but after 5 times you need to stop it. You see what I can say? I will say if count equal to 5, then you need to clear the interval. Come back here and reload this guy. You see, first time it is coming. second time, third time, fourth, and 5. But when it has come to 5, we have cleared the interval. Then it has stopped. Am I clear? So this is how you can keep repeatedly execute the set of statement. Or if you want to execute only one statement or once at a time in your application, you can go with this guy. Now you might have one question. You might be clear with this guy, but set timeout run immediately. Print set timeout run immediately in the sense, I mean, after the given time, right? Set timeout is whatever the piece of time you give, after that it is getting repeated, it is getting executed. Right, Prince? Okay. Now you may have one question. What is the real-time usage of it? Where we are using in your real-time applications? Okay, let us take a practical example. You would have seen in most of the web pages saying that, boss, for example, if most of the time when you go to the internet banking, whenever you go for the internet banking, when you're not doing anything for some time, say for example for 5 seconds or 5 minutes, if you're not touching the application, does it automatically throw a pop-up to you saying that, boss, you're not using this session, I was about to log out of this session? Yes or no? So how come it is coming, boss? Do you think that someone, I mean, how come the system knows that user is not touching the system for 5 seconds of time? This is what the piece of code they will do. They will say that set timeout. After every 5 minutes, you check it. Is the user is touching the screen? No, he's not doing any operation there. In that case, you simply throw the pop-up saying that the session has been cleared out. Am I clear? Everyone? Okay. In the same way, when do you go with this set interval guy? You would have gone for example, assume I'm using one of the postpaid connection. Okay, I'm using one of the postpaid connection in my phone. And you see, for example, 15th is my bill payment. Now, if I don't pay the bill for 15th, obviously on 15th, I'll get a message saying that, boss, you need to pay the bill. If I don't pay the bill on 15th, on 16th also, they'll be sending. On 17th also, they'll be sending. On a set of interval time, they'll be keep on sending the message saying that, boss, you need to pay the bill. And whenever I say that, boss, I have done with payment, then what they'll do? They will clear the interval. Okay, so anytime this repetitive, do you think that someone sitting there manually sending the messages? No, there is a piece of code. If the user has not yet paid the bill and the due date is already finished, keep on sending the messages. And if the user paid the bill, clear the interval. Okay, so this is one of the real-time example you can go for. Any questions? Okay, so the next topic what we have is this operator, right? Do we have any shorter other things? Because this operator is a lengthier discussion, which I'll take it tomorrow. Do you have anything? That is the last topic of your JavaScript before start with DHTML. In fact, DHTML is also JavaScript. No, JavaScript is not ended. It will never end. But piece of, I mean, initial stage core JavaScript, you can say. Even when I go with the DHTML, DHTML is also JavaScript. But what is DHTML? Till now, you see every time when I'm reading the code, when I'm entering the code, we are going with the prompt method and we are always going with the console. Instead of working on the consoles and prompts, you will be working on the web page now. On the page, DHTML, directly showing the data on the HTML, those things we'll be looking at. Can I have the notes? This is starting, right? Oh, this is the starting of JavaScript. Have we covered everything what we have mentioned in the notes? You're putting a tick mark. Now you can put the timeout and interval also. Okay, so this, sorry. Predefined method in the JSON. JSON, you're saying when it comes to ECMA 6, we have. In fact, like object.keys is one of the method is there, right? To find out in the same way, has key is one of the predefined method to check whether one key is already available or not. From ECMA 6, new methods have been there. Okay, we'll do one thing, guys. I'll pause it for today with a very fresh note. Tomorrow we'll be starting with the this operator at the same time, objects with functions. One of the very important concept, why we have to add function to the JSON object. Right now, what we are doing is we are defining a JSON object as a separate one, function as a separate one. Now you can combine the functions also into the JSON object. Okay, to make all the, I mean, to make it as a real-time object. So that I'm going to cover in the tomorrow's class. Okay. So let's sign off for today. We'll meet again back on tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye for today.